I knew always from the beginning, this wasn't going to be my end, but I had to start somewhere. And that was where I started. And I said, okay, I'm going to plan this out for in the future. We will be heartofinspiration.net, which is what we are now, right? So it's like I'll be teaching and having, all sorts of retreats, virtual and in person, and doing all these things. And
You had the vision. You knew where you were going.
yes.
How's it going, everybody? Xander Fryer, bestselling author, CEO, and founder of High Impact Coaching, here with the Lisa Brewer, CEO and founder of Heart of Inspiration. Lisa, first of all, before I get into all the fun details, I just love I love your getup, your crystals, your Buddhas, your all of that sort of stuff. I'm a woo-woo at heart, and I always talk about like all my crystals and all my habits around clearing and Palo Santo and all sort of that stuff. So first of all, I just want to thank you for being so spiritual. That's before we get into anything else. I just want to thank you for that, because I love seeing this sort of stuff.
Thank you.
And welcome to the show.
Yes, exciting.
Amazing, Lisa. So, I'm going to dig into your backstory a little bit, but before we dig in, I want to start this with, obviously right now, end of the year, you've just enrolled, I think we said 15, maybe 16, 3K clients.
Yeah.
So somewhere between 45 to 50, all right, 45 to $50,000 worth of clients.
Yes.
And this is all as a spiritual coach, so I think there's a lot of stigmas around what type of money you can make as a spiritual coach. So we're going to dig into that for a bit, but you weren't always able to, charge prices like $3,000. So we're going to dig into that as well. But before we dig into that, I would love for you to just give a real quick overview of what you do at Heart of Inspiration and what you're doing now. And then we can kind of go back to the beginning.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this. This is a great honor to be here with you today. And I owe so much to you and the HIC organization. So at Heart of Inspiration, what we do is we help light workers identify, clarify, and prosper in their purpose, from their purpose, in their purpose.
Yeah.
We are all here as light beings, and we all have a great and wonderful purpose. And that could be being a financier. It could be being like myself. Like I have a YouTube channel, a thriving YouTube channel. We talk about everything from, tarot to astrology to quantum meditation and manifestation and all surrounding and energy healing and all surrounding living out and
all the fun stuff,
healing.
all the fun stuff,
all the fun, wonderful stuff. And so that's what we do. My mantra is that, I'm here to help everyone lead a spirit-led, whole and healed, peaceful and prosperous life. Nothing missing, nothing broken. So that's what we're really all about at Heart of Inspiration.
I love that. And I think it's so interesting because I think a lot of people and maybe this is the entrepreneurialism of the past, right? But a lot of people have this belief that like you can't be successful like business wise and financially and be deeply spiritual at the same time, right? And I'm like, clearly you've never met the Dalai Lama, right? The Dalai Lama makes a lot of money.
Yes.
Right. Like he makes a lot. Like I was with a group that once went to hire him for a keynote. Most people don't know this, right? What does the Dalai Lama charge for a keynote? Well, we got 50% off for $70,000. Right. So it's like, I love that we're talking about this. We're bringing the world of finance and woo woo together to like really open up this conversation. Cause I don't think a lot of people are willing to have that conversation.
No, they're not, because that's that dirty little secret, right? Or that's that lie that's told.
Yeah.
Everything is energy. If we're going to say woo woo, then we're just going to go woo woo. Everything is energy, including money.
Yeah.
The concept of money is just that there's a piece of paper or a piece of metal that we have assigned a value to, and we exchange that value for goods and services. So
there's energy.
Why is it that
there's energy attached to that card? There's energy attached to that dollar bill.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an illusion and a mirage. It is just energy. So this concept that somehow you must be poor in order to be pious is
Yeah.
such garbage. That is, there's nothing to say that.
Oh,
And I could go into all the religious, like I could point to it in everybody's religious text. I won't do that today because it'll take forever. But that's, you don't have to be poor to be pious, right? You do
yeah.
not. And in fact, you're doing the world a greater disservice if you're running around here and you can't pay your light bill. You're
Oh,
doing the world a greater disservice, because then you cannot actually give the energy to the world you are meant to give and help to heal the world.
geez. So I could probably talk for about half an hour just on that. So we're gonna get to that. But
Yes.
before we get to that, take me back. Take me back to before you were an entrepreneur. Walk me through this path. Because I know you were a minister in a past life, all the way to where you are now. Obviously launching your coaching business, launching your YouTube, and then now really, turning that business up and making some great money, getting ready to leave your 9 to 5.
Yes, yes. So I'm a single mother of three. I have three adult children, 31, 30, and 27, believe it or not. And I'm a grandmother of two. I know I look fabulous.
I was gonna
Anyway,
say, you
so
don't look like that at all.
yeah, so we're doing the whole thing.
It's
Two ex-husbands,
crystals.
but we won't
It's
talk
the
about that either.
crystals. Yeah.
So the point being is this: so way back in the day when I was just a young 30, I went ahead and became a minister, and in the charismatic Christian non-denominational church, took the kids around. We traveled the country. I would go around ministering all over this country. I've seen almost all the 50 states. And we had a good life then as well. So I've been a full-time minister. I've also been a full-time entrepreneur in at least four other times in my life.
Yeah.
Full-time entrepreneur, didn't want to do the 9 to 5, wanted to work for myself, wanted to have the freedom, the financial freedom, and all of that that goes along with it. Somewhere along the way in my 40s, and late 40s, early 50s, I'm like, okay, I've got to step out of the box that I was in both religion and in corporate America.
Yeah.
So I stepped out of the religious box first, and then launched. It's been 2018. Oh my gosh, it'll be 3 years in March of 2021. Launched Heart of Inspiration, the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
and that has just evolved over 3 years from being, primarily a tarotist to actually being who I am today,
Yeah.
which is a mentor, a spiritual life coach, if you will, like that wonderful auntie you can talk to. And that's going
Yeah.
to help you get from point A to point B and walking in your
Yeah.
purpose. Um, yeah,
I love this, and I want to hit on that for just a second because you mentioned it's evolved over the last 3 years, right? It almost becomes its own organism, right? It's got its own energy, it's got its own soul. This whole thing is its own thing, and I think that's something that we all forget as entrepreneurs. It's like your business, your offer, your whatever it is you're doing, your YouTube channel, right, is a living, breathing, moving organism that has a soul that is like
yes,
evolving and growing. And I think a lot of the times we always want this offer or this business to be perfect right from the beginning, but you have to understand there's a process to it, right?
yes,
So
yes.
talk to me about that process for you.
So, that process, sometimes it's painful, but all the times it's purposeful. And you
Yeah.
have to allow that to happen. You have to be okay with, as you say, massive, messy action. So I started out just reading tarot cards
Yeah.
because I've got that little ability, whatever. But I just started reading tarot cards, right? That was it. But then there was like, I knew always from the beginning this wasn't going to be my end, but I had to start somewhere. And that was where I started. And I said, okay, I'm going to plan this out for in the future. We will be heartofinspiration.net, which is what we are now, right? So it's like I'll be teaching and having, all sorts of retreats, virtual and in person, and doing all these things. And
You had the
just,
vision. You knew where you were going.
yes.
Yeah.
But I was okay with starting at an imperfect place.
I think that's so
And
important.
that I
We all
think is the
start at step
biggest
one.
thing.
Yeah, we all start at step one. We can't just
Yes.
skip step one and go straight to step 10. We have to
No,
start at step one.
no, right. and
Yeah.
and you got to be okay with that. And it's and I can't stress that enough, is to have the mindset, the understanding that you got to crawl before you walk. I mean, heck, you got to learn to roll over before you even crawl.
Yeah.
So, so it's okay. And you're going to hit bumps and bruises along the way.
Yep.
That's okay. It's meant to help you learn. If I hadn't all those had those bumps and bruises, I wouldn't be where I am today. And
Yeah.
so it has
You
been a
wouldn't be as
complete
you wouldn't be as strong as you are today. You wouldn't be as
no,
good as you are today if you didn't go through that.
no. I've learned so much and I've grown so much as an individual,
Yeah.
grown so much from those days of charging $30 for a 30-minute tarot reading.
Yeah.
Where I am now. Like that is just it's amazing.
Oh,
It's
I
amazing.
love it. Um, Speaking of which, can I ask you during that process over these last 3 years,
Yeah.
what what do you feel have been maybe two of the let's call it two, one, the biggest learning lesson that you've had, and two, maybe the biggest mistake that you've made? And they might be one and the same, but I would love to understand what's the biggest learning lesson and what's the biggest mistake that you've made over the last 3 years in this process.
The biggest mistake, which is probably also the biggest learning lesson, the biggest mistake I made was not placing enough value on myself
Yeah.
and what I have to offer
Yeah.
to others. And that is not just monetary, but that's how it shows itself, right? It shows itself as a monetary value. So I used the example of $30 for a 30-minute tarot reading as an example. At $30, people basically looked at it as a $30 value
Yep.
and they treated it as such when it's really to have some spiritual insight into your life. That's not just $30, right?
Right.
So that was the biggest mistake, is not at least beginning to assign a proper value, a properly aligned value to my time and to what I'm providing. Um, and then that then goes to the biggest lesson, is that it is totally okay and it is perfectly aligned with the universe and the energy for me to say, this is to me, for me to assign a value
Yeah.
and value myself. That's the biggest
100%.
thing, value myself so much more.
And I think what's interesting, it's like I go back to ancient Vedic teachings, right? And if you go back to
Mhm.
like ancient Vedic teachings, one of the things that they talk about is like we're talking about spiritual insight here. If you were to
Yes.
go to like a guru or something to get spiritual insight, a lot of the time they would ask for like something like 1/10 of your like monthly earnings. So it could be,
Yes.
a bag of grains, it could be a goat, it could be, if you're higher up, it could be a thing of gold, right?
Yes.
They would ask for 1/10 of your monthly earnings,
Yeah.
not necessarily for themselves, but so when they gave you the spiritual insight, you would take it seriously. You would
Yes.
act on it. You would treat this with the value that it really deserves.
Yes. It is about energy exchange. And
Yeah.
that concept is even in the Bible. So
Yeah.
when the prophets of the Old Testament or even Jesus himself would come to town, everybody knew they had to bring something to the prophet.
Yeah.
You took care of that man or
Yeah.
that woman,
Yep.
right? So that they could continue on their work, but it was
To
an
do the work.
energy exchange. So I bless you. And not that I'm expecting something in return, but I'm sowing seed into this ground and then I get the harvest.
Yeah.
So it is all about the energy exchange. So in actuality, if I don't receive
You're
something of value
you're
from you,
stopping the
I'm actually
cycle.
blocking your blessing.
Yeah, you're stopping the cycle. You're stopping the energetic exchange.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. I've never looked at it that way, but that's brilliant. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Um, so talk to me, because I think, about 3-4 months ago, you were charging $300, and you've recently been able to
Mhm.
really make this shift for yourself, stand in
Mhm.
that value, stand in that ownership. Like, talk to me. What were the big fears? What were the big thoughts that you had in your head that came
Yeah.
up that we've all gone through? Every single one of us who has reached the point of finally being successful and financially free as a coach, we've all had these fears. We've all had these limiting beliefs. The difference is some of us make the decision not to listen to them and take action, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, purposeful action anyways.
Yeah.
And some of us give into those. Like what
Yeah.
were they for you and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. So I realized now, thinking back on this, that I was living this kind of this lie of what the world was telling me were
Yeah.
consequences of if I charged XYZ amount of money,
Yeah.
right? Oh my goodness, what how could you ever, as a spiritual person, definitely
Yeah.
charge that kind of money, you know?
It's funny because
And
people actually sound like that.
they do. Okay. That's a real quote. Anyway, but how could you ever do this, right? And are people going to be able to afford it? And I'm, what have you? First of all, in my corporate world or in any sales, I always would train my folks to not spend money out of somebody else's pocketbook and their checking account.
Yeah.
People buy what they value.
Yeah.
So now, if I don't value it, they're not going to value it. They're not going to buy it. That's first of all. So, second of all, again, I had to get past this. Like, I've got to be able to make it affordable for everybody and everybody, just so that everybody can have a piece of me. Well, if everybody's having a piece of me, I don't have enough pieces to go around.
Yeah.
And again, they don't value it,
Yeah.
because I'm going to tell you, my $30 clients would either cancel or be just rude or whatever the case, a lot more than right now the clients that I'm
It's
working with that
it's
actually
so
want to work
it's
with
so
me.
funny. Kahal, who's our head of sales at High Impact Coaching, he says when because he does a lot of business coaching and he helps a lot of our clients with their prices. And like one of
Yeah.
the things that he talks about is like when he was in fitness, right? And he would charge, he had his competitors charging $100 an hour, and he would be charging 1,500 or something like that, right?
Hmm.
And he'd say when I was charging less, he's like the PIA factor would go through the roof, and everybody always goes, "What's the PIA factor?" And he goes, "It's the pain in
Hmm.
the ass factor."
Hmm.
Right? When you
Hmm.
charge less, the pain in the ass factor goes through the roof. They cancel on you, they don't pay attention, they don't show up, and they don't get results. They become a
Hmm.
bigger pain in the ass if you lower your prices. You
Hmm.
increase your prices, the PIA factor drops immediately.
Hmm. 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 Immediately. And if honestly, if you really look at it from my perspective, I've turned so many people away because I'm like, you're not ready
Yeah.
for where we need to go.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's totally fine. We all are on a journey and we need to get to a certain place. Sometimes before myself can come in and take you from there to the next level,
Yeah.
right? I can't take someone that's still just kind of not really sure.
Yep.
You have to have be in a certain point. So I was
Can
really
I ask you?
assigning this level, this more advanced level or
Yeah.
moderate level, to babies, and I
Yeah.
was doing them a great disservice as well.
Yeah.
But I thought the consequence, which if you break the word consequence up, con, we think of con, that's like somebody conning you. So the world has conned you that there's going to be a sequence of events that's going to happen if you charge this much money. That's
Yeah.
a lie.
And it's not true. And it's
Not at
not
all.
true.
Not at
What, can
all.
I can I ask you what allowed you, because I think you just said something and I don't want it to go unnoticed. You said I had to be willing to say it's okay that I can't help this person, or not necessarily that I won't help this person,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
how did you get to that point of being able to say that? Because I think a lot of coaches live in that place of scarcity of I need to help everybody, right? And because of that they end up helping nobody.
Right. Because I recognize that if I am spreading myself so thin
Yeah.
and helping so many people, first of all, that's a complete drain on me.
Yeah.
Complete drain on me, because now I've got all these folks that just aren't, they're not where they need to be
No,
yet, and
no
I'm
amount,
not
no
there.
amount of selenite or amethyst is going to help us through that one.
No, my babies aren't going to help me at all. My Celestines can't either. Um, but you're drained.
Yeah.
And when you're drained, you can't get water from a dry well.
Love it.
So, in order for me to be able to be the most effectual that I needed to be, and for me to be the most effectual for myself, first and foremost, I needed to be very focused and intentional on where my energy goes and who gets to come into this world
I
and
love
I
it.
share my energy with.
I love it. I think that's so important. I think that's so important. And I think it's something that we don't talk about enough, right? Like for
Mm.
you, for everybody who wants to live in more abundance and wants to make more and wants to help more, well, the only way you make more and help more is by saying no to more,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
love that. Beautiful. So what were the big shifts, or maybe it was one big shift or two big shifts that really allowed you to finally start to charge and command your real worth? What was it?
Um, well, it was baby steps. So the first, someone,
It
first
always
someone,
is.
it was baby steps. So first someone said, we were talking in the Facebook group actually, and another spiritual coach said, listen, I have my high end, high ticket offer, and then I have a mid-level offer, and then I have a low end offer.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, I can do that because I'm not abandoning my existing clients.
Right.
So that like helped the mother and me feel like, okay, I'm not throwing my babies out to the wolves.
Yeah.
And so I was like, great, I can do that. And then as I began to work through the program, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I could do all this great stuff and get really in deep as much as I really want to with folks and just give all of me. And then these are people that want it, so they're going to soak it up.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh my gosh, 29.97, great. That I don't need 10 people at 300 for one person.
Yep.
That makes so much, I mean, that makes mathematical sense, doesn't it? Like
Makes
10
life a lot
people.
easier.
Hello. Hello. And then I could leave my 9 to 5 a heck of a lot faster if I have 10, 12, 15, 20, right?
Yeah.
3K, as opposed to how many $300 clients would I have to have? There's not enough time in the day.
120, 200, right? Like
I
the
can't
numbers,
do
the
that.
numbers just, and I think that's one thing for a lot of people. Like most people just don't sit down and do the numbers, right?
No.
It's like, it just doesn't make sense. If you're charging $300, right? You're going to be so swamped. You're going to be so energetically drained that
Yes.
it just won't work.
No. And you can't give your best
Yeah.
to
And I think that's huge, right? You said something earlier. You said, I'm actually doing them a disservice,
Yes.
right?
Yes. They're not getting the best, Lisa. They're not.
Yeah.
So we do what we
Beautiful.
can.
I love this, Lisa. Couple questions for you. I know I could keep talking about this stuff for hours,
Yeah.
but in terms of actually, I think one question that I know we do want to dig into is you mentioned this almost opposing idea, right? This opposing idea of like being spiritual and being here for the good of the world and then making money, right?
Mm.
Can we talk about that for a second? Can we talk about, what are the lies that go on there? What are the big issues that go on there? And what do we need to shift to make this a reality where we can be spiritual, we can grow spiritually, and we can make money, we can monetize, and we can grow there as well?
Yeah, so the big lies, especially when I was in ministry, right? There was this, and we see it now even today, some of the larger ministers and that have huge churches and whatever. I'm not going to speak on that. But, we look at their lifestyles and we're like, oh, how dare they? How dare they have this and how dare they have that? And da, 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 da. And, constantly people would say to me, well, doesn't the Bible say freely as you have given, freely as you've received, freely you give? And I'm like, that wasn't talking about what you think it was talking about. First of all, let's not misquote. Second of all, um, but if I'm always giving everything away for free, how does this maintain itself?
Yeah.
How does that happen? You want the best of me. At that point, it was for a Friday night service, a Saturday night service, and all day Sunday when you would book me. And but somehow I'm supposed to do that, and I'm supposed to raise 3 kids, and you're only going to give me $100. That
Yeah.
doesn't work.
It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen on any level.
Yeah.
So the lie that somehow, again, that you have to be poor to be pious. I just saw something from Sadhguru. Actually, I watch him on YouTube a lot, and I was reading some of his quotes, and he was like that the concept that we have to be incompetent and poor to be highly spiritual needs to stop,
Yeah.
because you are
Yeah.
neither incompetent nor should you be poor.
Yep.
So, that's just a lie. And so to shift that, I had to get to this point where, you know what? Just as much as you might want to live in a nice house and have a nice car and have a comfortable life, as a human being, why am I not allowed to want the same things? And I'm not out here bilking people for money. I'm not out here, selling them snake oil.
Yeah.
I am out here providing a much needed service. The world needs light workers. The world needs people to step into their purpose now more than ever and speak truth.
Yeah.
That's what we need. And there are a lot of people that don't know how to get there and need some more training. And I'm here. That's my purpose to do that.
Yeah.
And once I finally got that through my thick skull, and that working my 9 to 5, while it was great and it supported me up until now, and it's allowed me to do a lot of things, but that can't be my end all be all. I've got to be able to do this full time and to give all of me.
That alone, that shift alone, right? Like you couldn't do it full time before, so you couldn't actually give all of yourself. You
Yeah.
half of you, or maybe more than half of you, was spent doing something else that was not your true purpose, right? And the
Yeah.
second that you start to be able to command your real worth, you can break away from that and you can start to have a full impact. And the more money you make, it's not like you're I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't imagine Lisa Brewer buying a Lamborghini with her first 200 grand, right?
No.
Like you're gonna spend you're gonna spend this money to like get to more people and help more people and
Yes.
get the word out more and grow your following more and help more light workers, right? So
Yes.
that money just ends up being a tool to exponentiate the impact that you're having. unless
Definitely.
unless maybe you buy a Lamborghini. I don't know, Lisa.
Yeah. No, I think that ship has sailed. A Hummer. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
No, what you'll probably see is the entire basement of my home, then, and then being an entire studio with like all kinds of crazy,
with
equipment, and I got people and a
yep,
team, and I mean, how awesome would that be? Like the goal here is this to be an actual network. Like
yeah,
I want more coaches. I want, just like me. I want more readers. I want more energy healers. This is what I want.
I love
To
it.
help
Yeah,
the world.
I
To
love it.
help the world.
Beautiful. All right, couple of speed round questions for you.
Okay.
Number one, what's your favorite crystal?
Amethyst.
Love it. Mine too. um, Number two, if you could take a vacation for 1 month to anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Oh. Uh, cheese and rice. Why can't I think of this place? In Arizona.
Sedona?
Begins with an S. Huh?
Sedona?
Yes. I would spend vacation in Sedona mining crystals.
Oh, Sedona's a beautiful place.
I've
Beautiful
never
place.
been.
Oh, it's phenomenal. You can it's strong. You can feel it for sure.
Awesome.
Um, Beautiful. Lisa, thank you so much. The last question I have for you is where can people learn more about you and where can people learn more about Heart of Inspiration?
Yeah, thanks so much. So I have a website, heartofinspiration.net, and that houses just about everything. But more importantly, you can find me on YouTube. Heart of Inspiration is my channel. And then also on Instagram at Heart of INSP, and on TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. Heart of Inspiration as well. But go to my YouTube channel and come and chill out with me for our Sunday Soul podcast and do and all the astrology and all of the wonderful teaching we
All the
do there.
fun.
I'd love to see you.
Beautiful. Lisa, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. Can't wait to get you back on in the future. For everybody who's out there listening in podcast land, if you want to catch these interviews live on Facebook, go ahead and go to xanderfryer.com/FB group. And if you're out there and you're wondering how to learn how to start to command your real worth, take your coaching business full time, make the money you truly deserve so that you don't have to be in a 9 to 5, go to xanderfryer.com/programs. Check out our programs. Book a call with us. We're happy to figure out if we can help you out. Lisa, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you.